Hey there, it's Dan Young with Exponential Growth Systems, and I wanted to go over how to build a winnable game plan. So, why is it that most don't have a business plan or the plan really didn't move the needle? Well, most agents get up in the morning and they have no idea what to do. It's 8 o'clock, now what? Well, for some, it's 10 o'clock, now what? Uh, So what they wind up doing, especially when they first get in the business, is they wind up copying the agent next to them, thinking, well, they're successful. But it turns out that agent actually copied the person before them, so they weren't anywhere near as successful as they thought they were. So then you just have a bunch of agents replicating what the other agent was doing, thinking it was successful. And this has been going on for decades. And that's why there's so much stuff out there that doesn't work. Now, I have found that business plans typically come from two places. One is a coach, right? And I think everyone needs a coach, and that is fantastic. The challenge I see in our industry is that so many of the coaches are these one-trick ponies. And what I mean by that is you've got, for an example, and I'm not knocking anyone because these all work, right? But you'll see where I'm going with this. You've got, for instance, the Mike Ferries who say, okay, everything is going to be cold calling, expireds, and FISBOs. And those are the skills you need to master, and that's that. Okay. Then you've got Brian Buffini that basically says, hey, if it's not a referral, it doesn't exist. Now, again, all of these coaches are awesome and they all work. And by the way, I've been coached by all of them over the years. What I found is that it really requires a blend. So what I have found is you need to build what I call a winnable game plan. So things become I get to instead of I have to. So give you an example. If I'm going to say, hey, your business plan is going to be all about cold calling and expired, yet you are so terrified to pick up the phone that there is just no way in Hades you're going to do it. Does it make sense then to build a plan around that? I say, absolutely not. So you don't want to put all of your eggs into that lead generation basket. Now, here's the challenge. If I asked you, what business are we in? What business would you say? Right? This is real estate business, a lot of different things. Well, let me ask you this. What business is McDonald's in? You could say fast food. Yeah, you could say hamburgers, right? And you'd be right. But really their core competence is real estate. So they're one of the largest commercial owners of real estate on the planet. So if they never sold another burger, they'd still have money like you wouldn't believe. So they know that they're what they have to focus on and what they have to master is being experts at commercial real estate. So take our industry then in real estate. I believe that if we master lead generation, then you can write your own ticket anywhere. So lead generation is, in my belief, what business we're really in. So, but that becomes the question then becomes, well, what kind of lead generation should I do? And that's exactly what I'm going to help you with. Like what are all the eggs in the basket, or what's all the candy in the candy store, and what do I want to do? So when you get up in the morning, you're thrilled to do what you want to do instead of hating what you do. And by the way, I see that all the time, and it just doesn't have to be that way. Here's what you need to build a winnable game. Number one, you need to know what your real number is, and I'm going to walk you through that, and I'll explain what that means. You need to know how many appointments are required to make that real number happen. So how many buyer appointments, how many seller listing appointments do you need? So I'm going to show you how we walk through that. You need to know what you're going to do. Is it prospecting, marketing, advertising? And there are three kinds of those, and there's free, inexpensive, and expensive. And I have a pretty exhaustive list that I'm going to walk you through that you can pick through and build your plan around that, right? Thus making a winnable game. And lastly is you need a monthly action plan that boils down to your daily calendar. See, the reason a lot of agents don't do anything is because confused people don't act. So they wonder, okay, again, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. What am I supposed to do today? And they go to their calendar and it's blank. They have no idea. I'm going to show you how to determine exactly what you need to do every day to be successful. So let me walk you through this spreadsheet and this planner that I put together. By the way, this is going to change as I update it, and as it gets better, it's going to change, and I'll update the video later. But for now, the link that you have will continually be the updated version. If you want to download it and then copy it to your own drive, you're more than welcome to. And as updates become available, you can keep on coming back to the same link. So what do I mean then about your real number. So one of the challenges I see with real estate agents, I'll ask them, and by the way, I've been coaching for a long time. I've been in this business 26 years. I've had a mega team. I've owned a Remax. I've owned a Century 21. I've been a KW team leader. I've been a Keller Williams MAPS coach. I've been managers of the largest company in Ohio. And so I've had a lot of experience coaching agents over the years. And a common thread that I often hear when I'm talking to them is say, great, what do you want your goal to be this year? I want to make $100,000. And by the way, for some people, that sounds like a lot of money. For other people, it doesn't sound like much at all. However, they come in and say, yeah, I'd like to make $100,000. And in their mind, they're thinking, maybe that's a lot of money. And then I help them earn $100,000. And then they come back and say, I don't get it. I earned $100,000, but I'm broke. Well, it's because you didn't know what your real number was. Now, I believe in having a life by design, and that's what this spreadsheet's going to walk you through, okay? So if you look at this life by design spreadsheet, if you go through and fill in all these green blanks here, and you can change these labels here as well, but basically you need to know the real numbers. Like I knew in this particular year that I was going to need a new car. So I made sure that I put that into the plan. I knew within that year I was going to need a car, more likely toward the end of that year. If you've got, and these are all made up, some of them came from my personal, some are just from others that I put together for other people. But these are examples, and you can go through and change these. If you've got kids in school, you put those in here. If you're doing a remodel on your house, what's that going to cost? What are all these costs? Experiences for vacations. Let's say you decide that you're going to go on a vacation. Great. Where are you going? Okay, fantastic. Now, what kind of vacation? Are you talking about going first class? Are you talking about doing coach? You need to dig into the weeds and find out what the real number is if you're going to achieve that vacation. Maybe it's 2 vacations. Great. Maybe it's 3. Great. Add a line here. And as you put these numbers in, it adds them up for you here. What about your emergency fund? What are you going to put in there for your emergency fund? Your investments to your IRA or whatever that might be. Then you scroll down and, okay, what are your monthly bills annualized? Meaning, so if you've got $3,000 in monthly mortgage, insurance, and utilities, that would be $36,000 in a year. So in this particular case, you got $33,600, food and dining, haircuts, gas. So you can put all of these monthly expenses in here, and then it'll calculate them on an annual basis for you. Debts to pay off. In this particular case, this person wants to pay off $100,000 of their mortgage in a year. You may have credit card debt, and you put the credit card debt in here. So you can put if you have $20,000 in credit card debt, you put $20,000 here. It'll put in here as well. College tuition, and then other. Our college tuition, you put that in there, and that's going to have all of your expenses. So you know, again, what the real number is for your life by design instead of by default, which is what most people live. Other income. In our company, we have revenue share, so I get income from that. You may have a spouse with a salary, or you may be working right now and you have a salary. Put that in here, and that'll offset what you need. So you do this, and it calculates these numbers, but these numbers aren't quite there yet, okay? But these are the preliminary numbers, walking you through your cost of sales. Basically, that's your gross commission income, or GCI. What part of that goes out to your broker? In my particular case, we cap at $16,000. Business expenses. These are entered from other parts in the spreadsheet. I'll show you that here in a moment. So then you break it down, and then it breaks it down exactly how many closings you need, how many appointments you need, et cetera. So, but we're going to come back to that. The first thing you do is fill out step 1, fill out all the green areas. Step 2, we're going to fill out what your split is with your company. Mine is a cap, so I put 16,000. If you know that you are on a 30% split, like your broker you pay them 30%, you're going to keep on bringing this number up until that becomes 20, or well, for some reason that's not working. I've got to fix that. I see what's going on. Yeah, I'll fix that. So I'll have that fixed, and that'll change that number. You put your taxes in here, 20%, 30%, whatever, you know what that number is. Or if you don't, contact your tax person, your CPA, and they can help you determine what that number is. So great, you've got that part, and then it figures out what your taxes are going to be, your gross commission income, and your volume. So uh, for those of you that don't know, gross commission income is the amount that's going to go into escrow or go to the title company. That's before anything is paid out of that. That's before your split goes to the broker. That's before all of that. The volume is okay. What volume of homes? Like if I sold an $18.4 million home, well, I would have reached my net goal of $339,000, which this number came from this Life by Design calculator, as you can see right here. Okay. So that part is filled out. I'm going to go to the green part here and say, okay, I want 60% of my business to come from listings. Maybe in your case, it's 50%. Okay. So maybe you want 50-50, 50 listings, 50 from buyers, 50 from listings. When you're first starting out, 50-50 is a good mix. As you mature in your business, that number is going to go up. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent book by Gary Keller is a great book to look at these numbers. And he gives references to what you should be spending in your budget categories, and also what should you be doing a 50-50? Should you be doing a 60-40? But to start out, 50-50 is a good mix. What's the average commission paid out in your area? So the average buyer commission in our area is about 3%, but I took it down a little bit because things happen. You wind up buying a refrigerator or something stupid. Something goes wrong in the deal and you wind up putting some money toward the deal. So I put 2.75. Average commission on the list side, let's say it's 3%, I put 2.75. Now, I will tell you, my average commission is much higher than our area average on both the list side and the buy side. And that's a whole nother class where I can teach you how to get buyers signed to an agreement at a much higher percentage than what the market is bearing. So you can look to the YouTube channel for that. Listing average sales price. So let's say in this market, it's $300,000. I put $300,000 in there. List to close percentage, meaning if you take a listing, what percentage of the time does it close? Now, in the most recent markets, that was close to 100%, but that's starting to slow down. It's getting more normal. 75 to 80% is probably more normal market on the list side, okay? On the buy side, this number is typically a little smaller. Buyer deals fall through and whatnot. So, 70 to 80% is probably a good rule of thumb. What about listings, appointments to listings? So how many appointments is it going to take to win the listing? So you see the progression? Like I've got to have so many appointments to go to get a listing. And then I go to the listing and I get the listing, what percentage of those sell, et cetera. This figures all of those out on the list side and on the buy side. And so then it calculates for you, okay, I need this many closings per month. I need this many listings. And these are seller listings. These are buyer listings. Buyer listings meaning getting a buyer signed agreement just like you would a seller to sign an agreement. So what I often see is if an agent says, I'd really like to make $200,000, and we go through their Life by Design exercise and we find out that that's actually a pretty good number for them. But then they freak out because they're like, man, the most I've ever made is 75. How in the world am I going to do 200? And then when we go through this exercise and we break it down and they're like, wait a second, you mean to tell me that if I go on 5 appointments for buyer listings and 5 appointments for seller listings, so if I go on 10 appointments a month, like, that's not even one a day, right? This is one every 3 days. Then I can earn this net goal of $339,000. Like that's what I get to take home to my family. Yes, that's right. So often that initial number, when they look at the gross commission income needed, often agents get in their own head and they freak out a little bit. But when they look and break it down and find out this is how many appointments I need, they're like, you know what? I can do that. Great. So now we know how many appointments we need. Let's look at step 3, the Winnable Game Resource Guide. So here, and this is continuously being updated. I'm getting ready to do another update here shortly, but what lead sources do we want? And like I mentioned earlier, there are 3 types of leads: free, inexpensive, and expensive. Let's look at some of the free ones. Let's say you're an agent starting out, you're an agent getting the mojo back, right? Starting again and getting going. So here's a list of the different things you can do, right? Social media, that's kind of a broad brush, by the way. And that is a whole nother category in class that I really believe every agent needs to master now. I, at the recording of this, I'm 53 years old, so social media was not something that came easy to me, but it's something that I'm now learning to master and I have to embrace. So investors, sending out market updates, like real estate reviews and things like that. That was what the ninjas would call them, real estate ninjas. YouTube, lead funnels. I'm big on lead funnels, especially with Facebook. By the way, if you'd like to learn how to crush it with Facebook ads, let's have a call. So here are all the different. So you can go through here and look at all the candy in the candy store and say, okay, these are the 2 or 3 things that I really want to focus on. And then you take that and you put it in the monthly action plan, right? So if you look at this, social media, farming, floor time, if your company has that, what kind of lead generation activities, you can kind of put this together any way you want, so long as you have a plan as to what you're going to do. It could be, I'm going to do X number of open houses. And I recommend you just do 2 or 3 things to focus on it. Because here's what I have found. If you look at your business in silos, okay, the first silo is that sphere of influence, your past clients, sphere of influence, friends, family, that sort of thing. That is always going to be your winner. And that needs to have, as the ninja calls, flow going into it. And by flow, it's staying in constant contact with your sphere of influence. That's going to be your most important part. What I'm seeing right now is a lot of agents are calling me that do business largely by referral. They're the ones getting hit the hardest right now, is their businesses drop down and they don't have anything else filling that bucket. And there's only so much you can get out of that first silo. That's why I recommend having these other silos, whether it's doing Facebook ads or open houses. Pick 2 to 3 other silos and master those. Don't go doing 50 different things. Okay. When you look back at this winnable game resource list, I just want you to pick 2 or 3 things that you want to master. And then you put them in your calendar here. Some of those are going to have a monetary expense. Other of those are time. Especially when you're starting out, you want to keep your monetary expenses low. So prospecting is a great way to start. It is relatively inexpensive to get a Red X list, for instance. They call your FSBOs and expireds and do that on the onset. It's not hard to master the scripts. You go and get a few of those listings and get the business going. And then that can fund the other things that you want to do, right? As an example. So you put those in here and it's going to add everything up and it's going to come down to this bottom line down here. So this says that the annual budget is $11,162. Okay, great. So that comes back and goes back into here. So here is the real number then. You know that for you to achieve this number, $339,000, that you're going to have, you need to go on 51 buyer appointments and 51 listing appointments. It's just that simple. And then now that you've figured out what you're going to do and you've put it into your monthly plan, you can take these activities and put it into your calendar. So your calendar should be all blocked out. You should have your personal time blocked out first, the big rocks, get the vacations. This is a whole nother class, so I'm just going to do a quick skim on this. Get your vacations, the big rocks on your calendar, okay? Then you're going to go in and make sure you have your personal time booked in there. Otherwise, you have those feelings of I should be with my family when I'm working, or I'm working, should be, or I'm vice versa. You know what I mean? So you put your personal time in there, but then you need to block out, let's say Mondays is a big business development day for me. So I block out time for that. Time when I'm working on my business instead of in my business development. But every day, especially when you're trying to increase your business or if you're just starting out, you need a minimum of 2 to 3 hours of lead generation. And part of that could be, let's say, 2 hours of lead generation of making those initial contacts. Then that could be you doing your social media, it could be making your FSBO calls, whatever that is. And then you should have at least an hour, if not more, of lead follow-up. So as these leads come in, you need to make sure you're following up on them consistently. On average, it takes 8 contacts to follow up before you actually get something going with somebody. The average agent stops at 2. So if you think about that, it's actually a little less than 2. So if you think about that, most leads, you hear agents say, oh, my Facebook leads, they weren't very good, or my team lead gave me leads and they just weren't good. No. It's your follow-up that sucked. Let's be honest about it. Because if you were doing the proper follow-up, you would be getting the return on investment. So that is all of this in a nutshell. It literally is that easy. So if you have any questions on this, if you'd like to schedule a strategy call with me, or if you'd like help with me walking you through the Winnable game plan, just go ahead and jump on my calendar. We'll put the link here in the bottom of the screen. Thanks a lot. Go after it.